Hi friends, welcome back to Story of Casmock. Today I have something really exciting to share. I got my watercolor paint in. I finally received them in mail a couple days ago, and I've been holding back in opening them because I want to share that with you guys. Now keep in mind, I am not a professional watercolorist. In fact, this is a new medium that I'm trying out with my fashion design and sketch. Normally, I am just sketching digitally, or I am using markers or color pencil. I have used gouache from Winsor Newton before. So watercolor is something new, and I'm so excited to kind of start this new journey. Now I've scouted and watched so many YouTube videos on what type of paint to get, and it is just a lot to digest. So I've narrowed it down to 3 brands, and these brands are Daniel Smith is the first one, and then the second brand is I have Winsor Newton. And the Winsor Newton, I only have this orange color right now. A lot of it is Daniel Smith, and the third brand is Holbein Artists, and I believe this is like a Japanese brand. So we will kind of be testing out these 3 brands today. And I also purchased the Polina bright brush, and her paintings are incredible. So I am going to try her brush out to test out the watercolor today. So there are 3 things to keep in mind when purchasing watercolors, and these are the 3 things I've read online that is the most important. The first factor to keep in mind is the color transparency. Some watercolor will have more of a transparent hitting paper. That means the light will go through a lot more versus colors that are opaque or chalky with milky consistency. Now those colors will not have as much light going through them, therefore they will look more flat. And keep in mind that if you want to mix colors, there is this pigment behind. So there is this kind of like a fine print in each watercolor, and this is cobalt blue. So if you want to mix colors, it's better to find colors with only one pigment, because kind of like this hooker screen, it has in the back, it has like 1, 2, 3, 4 pigment. That means when you mix colors with this, when you try to mix colors with the hooker screen, you might get kind of like a muddy finish or muddy color in the end. So if you want to mix colors, try to pick colors that only have one pigment in them. The more pigment a color has, the more muddy and brownish like it will become. And the second factor we need to keep in mind when purchasing watercolor is lightfastness. Lightfastness rates from 1 to 4. 1 being that you can hang your paintings close to direct sunlight and the colors won't fade. And 3 and 4 meaning that you should try to keep those paintings away from direct sunlight. So just keep that in mind when you're purchasing color. All of this is behind kind of like the paint, and I think it might be on the website description as well. It will say, let's see, it will say lightfastness rating like a 2. So that's okay, or a 1. And the last thing to keep in mind when purchasing watercolor is its granulation. Granulation meaning that it might have a bit of a gritty texture when you apply the color to paper. So depending on what you're painting, some artists prefer a little bit of the texture to get that cool factor. Some painters might not prefer that. Depends on what you're painting. Now, I am just kind of giving you guys these 3 factors to consider. I'm really excited in unboxing and opening and testing out these paint with you guys. So why don't we just dive right in? This is the Holbein palette, empty palette I got from Amazon. So I kind of want to get just like aluminum one instead of plastic one, and that is just my preference. It came in a box like this and has 26 wells to hold 26 different paint color. So I thought this is kind of neat, and I'm going to kind of squeeze some paint into the palette, and I've heard that you need to kind of like squeeze the paint in and let the paint dry for a little bit before using it, so not to have, so the color is, you're not going to like waste paint and get too much color with your brush all at once. So I'm just going to kind of like squeeze the paint in for now and let it sit for a little bit to dry before starting the test. That my watercolor palette is dry, we can go ahead and start painting and testing these colors out. The first one we're going to test out is this transparent brown outside from Daniel Smith, and make it a little darker. I feel like the transparency of this paint is medium, and there I can tell there is some granulation, there is some like texture. The second color we're going to test out is this burnt umber from Daniel Smith. I feel like this color would be good for animals or skin tone. Anything you just need kind of like a brownish yellow tint. I do feel like there is some granulation happening with these browns. You can see a little bit of the grittiness, the texture of the paint. The next color we're going to do is Burnt Sienna by Daniel Smith. This one here. You can definitely see that this color is slightly more orange than the burnt umber. Still a little bit of that granulation happening, gritty texture. And that is Burnt Sienna. The next color we will be looking at is the Permanent Violet by Holbein. This is really pretty. Very good transparency. Very light. This color is a dream. And this would be really good for like if you want to paint botanical and florals. This would be a really pretty color to have. Let me see if I can get it just slightly darker. Very pretty. The next color we have is this Quinacridone Rose. And I heard this is like a must on the palette. More like a magenta shade. And this could also be substitute as a red. If you're deciding whether to get a red or magenta, I would definitely recommend getting this magenta-ish shade, Quinacridone Rose. It's so pretty. Just gonna layer a little bit darker. Yeah, very pretty color. Garlic Lake, and this is from Holbein. A warm orange. Very rich and very pretty. Love this Scarlet Lake color. Next color we have is this Transparent Orange by Winsor Newton. So pretty. I like these colors a lot right now. I'm loving the violet to the transparent orange. They're just so much fun. Next one I have is this yellow ochre by Holbein Artists. Next color I am showing is the Gouache Nova by Holbein. A nice medium yellow. Kind of like, you know, the shade of a sunflower. Very happy color. I like that. It's the Hansa Yellow Light by Daniel Smith. Nice, very nice lemony, bright yellow on the cooler side. And these lighter colors, I'm not seeing much of a gritty texture. Very transparent, very fun. The next color I have is this Sap Green by Daniel Smith. You can tell the color is kind of like seeping into the yellow. That's okay. I am on a journey of practicing the art of imperfection. The next one we will be testing out is the Hooker's Green by Daniel Smith. Fun. This is so vibrant and pretty. The next color I have here is the Turquoise Blue by Holbein Artists. And that is kind of our top row. Now let's move on to our bottom row. So the next color we have is this Philo Turquoise by Winsor Newton. This does have a bit of a granulation gritty texture to it. Transparency is good. Definitely have more of a texture here, the Philo blue, than the turquoise blue here. Okay, moving on. We have the Marine Blue by Holbein right here. It's like a good teal blue. I don't know if I necessarily need the marine blue and the turquoise blue. They look pretty similar to me, And I think if I do my purchase over again, I would probably just purchase one or the other, but not both. They look kind of similar in my opinion. The next one I have is the Cerulean Blue by Daniel Smith. This color is a little harder to apply when the paint is dry. I'm barely picking up any color and I'm pressing the paint pretty hard, so this one is definitely my least favorite to use right now, the Cerulean Blue. Or maybe if I'm planning to use this, it might just be straight out of the tube because having a hard time picking up color from the dry paint. Let's move on to Cobalt Blue by Daniel Smith. Just going to lay another layer on top to make it a little bit darker. The next color is Ultramarine Blue by Daniel Smith. This color seems to have a little bit more red comparing to the Cobalt Blue, but I feel like they're kind of similar right now looking at it. The next color is Indigo by Daniel Smith. And this color is really rich and dark. You can almost use this as a black. And the next color we have here is Neutral Tint by Daniel Smith again. This is almost like a neutral gray, and it's nice to have if you want to darken some of your paint colors. You can use this. And the next color we have is Painless Gray by Daniel Smith. This is a cooler gray tone with a blue under tint. Lastly, I have this Winsor Newton gouache in white for those areas that needs a touch of highlight. I'm not going to test this out as this is white, but you guys get a sense of idea what it might be used for. This is my 21 color palette, and thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy unboxing these colors with me. Thank you for watching Story of Castmok. I am so grateful you are here. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more fashion illustrations and creative inspiration. Have a beautiful day.